A woman is helping people with disabilities dominate in cheer competitions.
It is the Special Abilities cheer team in Mobile, Alabama, and Lisa Malone started this team 11 years ago. She says there are activities for every skill level. The group competes in regional cheer competitions, and they usually score first place, and I can see how so. They really do their job well.
Yeah, and that has to be a lot of fun for them to get out and just to be able to cheer and be part of a team like that. That's a lot of fun.
That's right. Just get out there, move around, and have fun. Most important thing there. And I'll tell you what, getting outside the next few days is just going to be getting hotter, but we have lots of sunshine for you. Perfect pool weather if you want to do that this weekend. It's going to start to feel more humid. We are in the 90s by the end of the weekend.
Ready for the summer. Tara, thanks. Thanks for joining us here at 10. Stay tuned for CSL next at 11.
Now, live from Charlotte, in the Fox 46 studio, it's CSL Charlotte Sports Live.
Welcome inside Charlotte Sports Live and Baker's Life Fieldhouse, where the Hornets season comes to an end. 144-117, and they end the season on a 6-game losing streak. Despite all that, there is some positivity to talk about tonight, but that's later in the show. Right now, we got to talk about tonight. Will Kunkel, Josh Sims here live in Indianapolis.
Yes, we're with you for the next half hour. We're going to talk about the good, we're going to talk about the bad, and we'll frankly talk about the ugly because, unfortunately, there was a lot of that in tonight's game. That was a do or die for your Charlotte Hornets, and unfortunately, they didn't do much out there.
They died.
Unfortunately. So, all right, let's get to the highlight and figure out what exactly went wrong for the Hornets in tonight's game. And it was from the start. They just did not have an answer. Surprisingly, for a guy like Doug McDermott that scored 14 points in the blink of an eye for Indy. Doug McDermott, was he on your scorers scouting report there, Will?
Apparently not, but he scored 14 points, like you mentioned, in 7 minutes and 8-second mark of the game. That's the most points by any player in the first 5 minutes of a game this season.
Incredible. Incredible. Now, the Hornets were trying to show life. I mean, the score is bad at this point, but they're getting some easy buckets. Malik Monk out in transition. But on the other end, how about Miles Bridges, one of the guys you could say that really left it all out there on the court, the block going the other way to Monk for the lob. But the problem is the Hornets are just down so much at this point in the game.
The game started on a 20-7 run by the Pacers because of Doug McDermott, and then the Hornets never had the energy to get back into it. And Sabonis, who you see there get the bucket, he only had a couple points at halftime, but he dominated on the boards. He is a very, very good player. They controlled him. So if you told me that they controlled him in the first half and were down the way they were, I would have called you a liar.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, you saw McConnell get that bucket at the end of the third, a ton of uncontested buckets, defensive breakdowns left and right, and you get the gist here. The Hornets lose this game 144-117, so let's hear from JB.
We just tried to stay consistent. We tried to, rally the troops. We tried to, get the group going, and, I think it feels overwhelming at times, I think the group at some level felt overwhelmed, and it's just my job, our job to try to keep the group poised, and we tried to do that. But obviously, we didn't respond the right way. Indiana had a lot to do with that, so give them credit.
In a 30-point loss, there's nothing that goes right. I mean, if it was a close game, we could talk about a few things here or there, but they just came out and punched us in the mouth, and it was early on. It was throughout the whole game. It was disappointing because obviously we needed this one.
All right, let's talk about this one as we bring in Joe Morano, who is live back in Charlotte in the Fox 46 studios. But, Josh, the biggest takeaway for me is, one, the honesty. Listen, the guys are honest. They're saying they got their tails whipped tonight. Miles Bridges said multiple times they got their tails whipped. But in order to get your tails up, you got to come out and not perform with energy, with no enthusiasm. They seemed uninterested at times. They were unaware about how big the moment was. Joe, what was your takeaway, man?
Guys, this game reminded me and gave me bad flashbacks to math class, okay? Do you remember doing inverted thinking in math? It's when you would get the answer and you had to do the steps and figure out why that was the answer. So the answer here is the Pacers dominate, but leading up to this game, 5 of the top 7 scorers for Indy are out in this one. This team lost to Charlotte twice this year, and I believe Bob Kravitz told us yesterday, Will, that Indy this year at home had one of its worst home records in franchise history. I felt so good about Charlotte heading into this game, and just like you said, they got popped in the mouth, and I guess the enthusiasm just wasn't there. That's kind of what this whole game reminded me about.
Josh, you and I looked at each other right after the 6 o'clock live shot, and we said, you know what? This is the healthiest the Hornets have been in a really long time. Gordon Hayward's out. Yes, obviously a huge loss, but Cody Martin, the only other player that's out. No, Devontae Graham's good to go. Miles Bridges is good to go. P.J. Washington is good to go. And they still, laid an egg.
Yeah. And there's really no good reason why not. They knew going into this game the importance of it. We heard it all week. The guys talked about having that do-or-die mentality, that one-and-done mentality. If they don't win, it's all over. But Indiana played like a team that had been in the playoffs before, that had veterans that have been in this situation, and Charlotte played like a team that didn't. They played like a team that had more games to play, and it was surprising because some of the guys you would rely on, Terry Rozier, 0 for 9 from deep. Devontae Graham, 1 for 7 from deep. They couldn't hit shots. And then on the defensive end, there were so many uncontested shots. They gave up 13 uncontested three-pointers in this game. The Hornets only made 12 three-pointers themselves, and they're giving up uncontested threes on the other end. That's a recipe for disaster, Will.
That is less than ideal and less than good. Let's take a look at some of these guys' stats from tonight. You mentioned the shooting woes from Terry Rozier. We said before the game, we said Terry Rozier's got to be the most important player, followed by P.J. Washington, and then there had to be a third player. It didn't matter who, but someone had to come out and drop about 20. Well, unfortunately, Terry shot poorly. P.J. Washington had 5 quick points. We said, oh, looks like P.J.'s playing well. He didn't score after about the 6-minute, 30-second mark, Joe. So they not only didn't have their first or second or third guy, they didn't have anybody really show up outside of Cody Zeller.
And I feel like Zeller, by the way, 7 for 7. I know he said things don't go right in a 30-point loss, but something went right there. But P.J. Washington, that's similar to his last few performances as well from this final weekend of the season, scoring some early and then kind of going quiet the rest of the way. That's something I noticed from there, too.
What did you take away from a positive standpoint from tonight? Cody said there is nothing positive, and honestly, he's probably right.
The positive is sort of a negative in that the positive is they had a very good lesson here tonight on what it takes to win playoff basketball. We've said it so many times. They got punched in the mouth. So all these guys have to sit with that for the entire summer. Miles Bridges afterwards said that's going to brew. He's going to be thinking about that. He said each and every one of these players is going to get better in the offseason because this is going to be on their mind, how they got embarrassed out there on the court tonight. And you just hope that they are fueled going forward to never, ever let something like that happen again.
That is a really bad taste, Joe, to have in your mouth that entire offseason, not just tonight, but the last 5 games before this, because if you win one, you're in that 7-8 playing game. You're not the 10th seed. But, Joe, I know it doesn't matter anymore, but would you catch the people up on what's going on right now between Boston and Washington? Because we did care a lot about this game until our game started.
Until recently, right. Yeah, let's get you to those highlights right now. Boston and Washington actually battling it out right now. The winner of this game goes on to play the Brooklyn Nets as the 7th seed. The loser will host Indiana coming up on Thursday in another do-or-die game. Russell Westbrook actually held to single-digit points in the first half, but he had 12 boards in this one. Washington had a 2-point lead at the half, but actually it's Boston right now that has jumped ahead, up 12, 100-88 with 7 minutes left. Jason Tatum has gone off, guys. 13 of 30, 45 points. Kemba Walker, the former Hornet, also pouring in 23 of his own. Again, the Celtics up 12 with about 7 minutes left left in that one. And lots more happening beyond basketball tonight. As we continue on CSL, the ACC baseball tournament is in Charlotte next week, and they're expecting a lot in attendance. We'll explain why. Also, I gotta know, what's the worst thing about flying? We've got to see what some of the pet peeves are in our quick six.
Fitting, because we take off in just a few hours here from Indianapolis, but we also got to talk about the positives going forward for the Hornets. We told you there's some positivity tonight. We got to talk about that tonight, Josh.
Yeah, we'll have that later on CSL, because we don't want to leave you with a bad taste in your mouth, folks. We got you covered. Stay tuned. More CSL coming up next.
Yeah, I'm coming up right now. Oh. Yeah, hi. Oh, okay.
Welcome back to Bankers Life Fieldhouse here in Indianapolis, Indiana. We've already talked about the Hornets quite a bit. We're going to do it more in just a little bit. But right now, we got to talk about Charlotte and what's going on in the Queen City right now. Coca-Cola 600 coming up very quickly. Nights on the road, but still a lot of baseball to be had coming up.
Yeah, it's going to be packed over at Truist Field next week, because the Charlotte Knights are going to host the ACC tournament. And the good news for all you fans planning to attend these games is it's going to be full capacity for this. Yes, Governor Roy Cooper lifting all the restrictions, so you will be allowed to attend these games in full force. There will be 3 games a day from May 25th through the 28th, with the semifinals that Saturday and the title game on Sunday the 30th. Atrium Health is also offering COVID-19 vaccinations from 10 to 4 during the weekdays of the championship. And if you get one, you also receive a free ticket for that day's games.
Exciting.
Certainly, guys. All right. We love that. Now let's do some quick six on this Tuesday night. We've got plenty to talk about, so we bring back the boys from Indy and Brian Blakely into the picture tonight, and we throw 2 minutes on the clock right now. Got to get right to it. We'll start with you, Brian. I need a grade for James Borrego's job this season.
Well, after tonight, what a stinker that was. And to lose 6 games down the stretch they did, that leaves a bad taste in your mouth, as you were just talking about, Josh, and a bad impression going into the next season. But given the injuries and how well they looked to start the season, I'm going to go with a C+.
All right, Will and Josh will get your thoughts on that later on. Josh, this team still exceeded expectations, so what do you want the expectation to be next year?
The expectation next year is playoffs. I want a 4 to 6 seed next season. If there's a play-in game, don't be in the play-in game, be in the actual playoffs next season.
Fair assessment there. Will, how did the Pacers follow up this performance against what's likely to be Washington?
Well, they're not going to play as well as they did tonight. They're not going to score 144 points and open up on a 20-7 run. However, they can hang with Boston. They're not going to be Brogdon is going to be back. He's still going to play, but Karis LeVert still won't play. So I think the Pacers actually fall to Boston because Jason Tatum, he can take over.
I agree there too. Brian, Indy and Charlotte have something in common also May 30th. They're going to host 2 races. So what's better, the Indy 500 over there or the Coke 600 right here?
Well, the Coke 600 for sure. That was an easy one right there. I don't know about the Indy 500. It's a nice little race with nice little Formula One cars, but we'll take NASCAR, Charlotte Motor Speedway.
All right, Josh, I know you're excited about this matchup tomorrow night. It's LeBron and Steph happening there. What do you expect out of that? Brian, why don't you handle that question for me?
LeBron versus Steph Curry.
Go ahead. You're up. But we got audio back, guys. We got audio back. Go ahead, Josh.
All right. So I expect Curry to go off in the game, but the Lakers, I mean, they're going to win because, I mean, they got nothing to stop AD in that one.
All right, Will, you guys fly back tomorrow. I got to know what's your airline pet peeve.
Okay, not preparing for the next step. It's the same all the time. When you're in TSA, get your wallet out of your pocket, get ready. When you're getting ready to board the plane, get your boarding pass out. You know it's coming. When you get on the plane, get your iPad out, get ready to put your bags away. Anticipate the next step ahead of you so the people behind you can get their stuff done. That's it. That's all, people.
Is that Josh?
Everyone, frame that rant because he's spot on. Thank you, gents. All right. We'll talk more Hornets in just a little bit here. Thank you, guys. That's your quick 6. How about some baseball real quick? The Knights taking on the Durham Bulls for a 6-game set. It's Durham's offense that strikes right away, though. Taylor Walls will knock this one. That travels into right field. 2 runs come around to score. Bulls actually hang 4 runs in the first inning here. But how about the man, Jake Berger? It doesn't take any days off. This guy crushes this one to center. That is deep and gone. It's his 4th homer of the year. He'll be a guest on CSL this week. Let's hope he keeps that good luck continuing after he visits with us. But you know what? This one, just too much Durham, snapping the Knights' winning streak here tonight. The Bulls win it 7-2 your final. In the big leagues, the Mets still visiting the Braves. Kevin Pillar out of the lineup with multiple fractures in his face. Remember, he took a fastball there yesterday. Says he feels all right, though. 3rd inning, no score. Jonathan Villar launches this offering deep and gone. It's a 2-run shot to give the Mets a 2-0 lead. How about the defense, though? Villar bloops this one. Dansby Swanson is going to avoid the collision, make the slide, and still come up with the ball right there. Love to see that play made. However, the Mets come out on top here 4-3. Some other baseball news for you. Bad news for Angels fans and baseball fans, because this guy's a treat to watch. But Mike Trout will be gone for a while. Finished running the bases, limping in today's game against Cleveland. Got it checked out. He's on the injured list now with a calf strain, and he's expected to miss about 2 months from that injury. All right, still to come, we head back out to Indy as we look at how the Pacers just couldn't miss, and we'll look back on the season that was. Also, another major in golf gets underway this week. What we're looking out for in the PGA Championship when we come back at CSL. Knees are in way of the swivel.
Hey, Hey, Joe, what's this sound about? Is it by any chance about looking going forward, or is it just about tonight still?
Ooh, I did Zeller's answer to you. It's, I don't have an, JB goes into, we got to remember this moment. We got smacked in the mouth, but remembering the moment is important. And it ends with Bridges saying that he tried hard.
He tried hard.
I tried hard.
He's like, well, I tried hard.
It was Josh's answer. It was an answer to Josh's question. All right, golf's best are getting one of the best views ever this weekend as they take part in the PGA Championship playing just south of us down in KIAWAH Island. They're in South Carolina right now getting their practice rounds in. It's the first time the event is on the island since 2012. You may recall back then Rory McIlroy brought home the title. And remember now he's coming off his first win in a couple of years, which happened in Charlotte at the Wells Fargo Championship just a couple weeks ago. Let's head back out to Indy, though, and discuss a little more about these Hornets. Will and Josh, the sting's still there, right?
It still stings, it still hurts, but with that said, you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. This was a good season, I think, for the Hornets. They pushed the organization further along down the road. Having said that, the last 6 games, while it doesn't encompass the entire season, it shows you that there's still a lot of work to be done because you have to be able to finish games, you have to be able to finish seasons, and you have to be able to finish well in those situations.
Yeah, and it certainly was a learning process for this team. They know now what it takes to win in these scenarios. Do not forget, I mean, they were without their best player in Gordon Hayward. They went 9-20 without him. You got to imagine that if he's playing, A, they're probably not in the play-in, but they're in the playoffs. But B, if he's in this play-in game scenario, then he's able to kind of calm this team down, be that presence to help them at least come out the gate a little bit better going forward. But Will, what did we say? We wanted to see the Hornets play meaningful games down the stretch. Yep. I know we got to a point where we wanted more, but hey, we got a start here, and now it's about how they build going forward.
They gave us what we wanted. I thought they should have been in the playoffs. They played very poorly down the stretch. Excuses aside, this Indiana Pacer team was way more beat up than the Hornets were tonight.
Very true.
That's just the matter of fact. And everybody had to go through COVID testing. Everyone had to go through everything that everyone had to go through this year. So the Hornets were not separated in that realm. But looking at this team, there's a lot of answers there are a lot of questions that need to be answered. Mitch Kupchak has said in the past they just want to get better. They just need talent on this roster. I will say they no longer just need anybody at any position. They need somebody better down low, but they also need another playmaker if they want to take that next step, in my opinion.
Yep, that is very true. Let's hear from the guys, and then we'll react to what they have to say about the future of this team.
I don't have any answers for that. I don't know. It's especially in a big game like this, it's disappointing because obviously win or go home. So you would think that's when we have the most energy, any amount of energy that you have left, you should be able to leave it out there. So.
Well, we got to remember this moment right here. This is where all great players, all great teams have felt this moment right here. And we're no exception. Every team has been smacked in the mouth in playoff games. Every team I've been a part of, great players, they've been smacked in the mouth at some level in the playoffs.
I mean, we never gave up. I mean, everybody was still playing to the last horn, even the people that came in the end. But yeah, I mean, they smacked us in the mouth and we didn't respond. And that's the outcome of the game.
Joe, I want to start with what James Borrego was saying, that no team never been smacked in the mouth. So what do you think the Hornets learned from this? How do you think this tastes to them going forward? Not just right now, because we know it tastes bad now, but does it taste this way when they're training in 2 months?
I think so because of that first sentence that you heard JB say right there. We got to remember this moment, and I love that thought process. Don't forget how much that stings. You want to avoid it. I really see, the more I watch Borrego, I see a lot of Greg Popovich in him. He's got a couple of rings from being an assistant with him, and he's so calm, even in a 30-point loss in a playoff do-or-die situation. He's still trying to extract how do we get better out of this, and he's still calm with his team, and I love that demeanor that he brings. I think for a bunch of young guys, I think they're lucky to have Borrego as their head coach.
All right, Josh, you got one more thought?
Yeah, in the offseason, they need to get a big man. You know, the guys they had this year were serviceable, but they need to improve at that position. That is point number one, so that will be the first thing they need to address.
All right, coming up next, we got one more segment here live at Baker's Life Fieldhouse, and we got our QC crowns for you on our way. So don't move a muscle. Some soccer? Oh, excited. What'd you say? So funny.
No, from their standpoint, it feels like all
Hey, gang.
you guys wanted the Pacers to kind of lose.
Hey, you there?
Oh.
Will, Josh.
Yeah, what's up?
Do you guys want me to handle the morning from here, or did you want to do it on location? I didn't know which one you wanted to do.
We'll do it here.
Okay.
I don't want to waste the time.
Yeah, that's what I figured. We're coming out to you. I think they already told you that, though.
How much time do we have?
125 total.
Okay.
Yeah, 125. They'll come out to you to intro the crowns, and I'll go, and then
Okay.
be quiet.
Welcome back to CSL Live in Indianapolis. Somber evening here in Baker's Life Fieldhouse. We're going to give you our crowns in just a second, but we want to go back to Charlotte. Joe, you go first, buddy.
Yeah, sure. My crown will go to Charles Barkley. He did pick the Hornets to win. I like that. But I also like that he's given $1,000 to every employee in the Leeds School District in Alabama, where he's from, because of the strain the year that has been put on educators because of the pandemic. Good for Charles Barkley. He gets the crown.
He put the curse on the Hornets. He guaranteed the win. That is not crown-worthy, Joe. Come on, my boy. Josh, you're up.
This is crown-worthy. SABRINA IONESCU had a triple-double for New York today, the youngest to ever do that in the WNBA at 23 years old. By the way, she hit a sick game winner the other night. This girl can ball, and I love that she's doing it on the big stage, so she gets my crown.
My crown goes to Marshall Men's Soccer. Why? Because they won themselves their first ever NCAA championship by beating powerhouse Indiana. And how fitting. We're in Indiana. We just got our tails whipped, so now we got to make fun of them because Marshall beat their tails, albeit in men's soccer. That's going to do it. Live from Indianapolis. Hornet season comes to an end, unfortunately. Stay happy, everybody, anyway.